Hello everyone. Welcome back to Ancient Wonder. Picture, just for a moment, a city of 500,000 souls, crammed into narrow lanes and grand new squares, caught between the ashes of its past and the promise of an empire still being born. This is London in the 1700s, a place of staggering contrast, where filth and splendor lived on the same street, and where the skyline itself was being rewritten stone by stone. Thanks to powerful new artificial intelligence tools, we can now reconstruct these forgotten streets with breathtaking detail, drawing on hundreds of original paintings and engravings left behind by the artists who actually walked these roads. What you are about to see is not guesswork. It is history rebuilt, frame by frame, carefully and faithfully, so that we can finally walk through Georgian London as if no time had passed at all, and no detail had ever been lost. Our journey begins high above the River Thames, looking toward the very spot that would one day become Tower Bridge. Below you stretches the beating heart of the British Empire, the busiest port on the planet, where ships from every corner of the known world jostled for space along the water. Rising above it all stands St. Paul's Cathedral, the masterwork of architect Christopher Wren, finished in 1710 after fire had reduced the medieval city to ash decades earlier. Just beside it you can spot a tall stone column, a monument built to remember that catastrophe and to warn future generations of how quickly a city can burn. Down on the water, the old London Bridge still stands exactly as it had for hundreds of years, its surface crowded with houses and shops, a street suspended above the river itself. This single view captures a city teetering between two worlds. The medieval town it once was, and the global superpower it was racing to become. From there we travel south to Greenwich Park, climbing One Tree Hill for what was once considered the finest view in all of England. Stretched out below is the elegant Queen's House, framed by the curving colonnades of Greenwich Hospital, a retirement home for naval veterans that doubled as a dazzling piece of political theater. Every column and dome was designed to tell the world that Britain now ruled the seas. A few decades after this scene, this very hillside would become the official center of the world's longitude, the line from which every map on Earth would be measured. But for now, it is simply a fashionable place to stroll, where well-dressed visitors gather to admire a view that has barely changed in nearly 300 years. Step away from the grand monuments for a moment and imagine what this city actually sounded like, smelled like, felt like beneath your feet. The streets were a roar of cart wheels grinding over cobblestones, street sellers shouting the price of oysters and hot pies, church bells marking the hours from a dozen directions at once. Coal smoke hung low over the rooftops even in summer, mixing with the smell of the river, of horses, of fresh bread from 100 different ovens. Wealth and poverty brushed shoulders constantly. Here, a duchess stepping out of a sedan chair just feet away from a barefoot boy selling matches. This was not a museum piece frozen behind glass. It was a living, breathing, occasionally filthy, and always electric city, racing forward into a future none of its residents could have fully imagined. Every painting, An engraving that survives from this era is really a tiny window into that noise and that energy, and it is exactly those windows that have allowed us to rebuild these streets today. Next, we step into Leicester Square, once one of the most desirable addresses in the entire city. At its center stands Grand Leicester House, home to royalty and rebellious princes alike, while around its edges genius quietly gathered. The painter William Hogarth